I am going to be doubling up this live. There we go. Doubling up this live with the recording for the podcast episode that's going to drop on Monday. And this message is really pouring through so powerfully. So I knew that recording it for the podcast episode equally deserved to be here for you today. So if you were tuning into this message, it is going to be exactly what you've been praying for. So let's dive in because I'm going to channel this through from Spirit. And the theme of this message today is all about kicking your life up a notch. So what does that mean? Well, first, it requires you to really dive in and discover what it is that you want out of your life. Okay, so when we grow up, we're always asked these questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to do? Or, then there's kind of those footsteps or those footnotes of what that then is going to look like for you to step into that experience, to step into that title, to step into those, receiving those accolades. And then we get to this point in our life where we start to feel these crossroads, and some things align and some things don't align. And at some point we're kind of just going with the flow. We're just kind of allowing ourselves to go with the motions because at some point it was set out that this is what we were going to do. And we feel very weary or even confused when we start to think about or realize that the path or the trajectory that we're on is not actually really what we want, or it's not really aligning with our lives. And so we continue to follow these motions of doing the thing and showing up anyways, and then we're confused and conflicted with why we feel so drained and why we feel so lost and why we feel so confused. But yet we continue to show up to do the same thing every day. Now, here's something that I channeled through a couple weeks ago, and I'll probably share this dream with you in a moment. I feel like it's very relevant to where we're going with this message today. And that every single day of your life is a loop, meaning that you will live the exact day, every day, that you choose to live for you. So if in that loop, for the rest of your life, every day you wake up, that there are things that you're doing that's not aligning with you, you're going to live your entire life in a loop. You're going to live your entire life day in and day out doing things that you do not like to do. So that when that day comes where your soul is ready to depart from your physical body, you will be riddled with regrets. So what does that mean then? Where do you go from that space when things are not aligning in your life? Well, it comes back down to your values and your desires. What do you value? What is that foundation that you stand on? And your desires, what do you want out of life? Do you want the mountain and the hill? Do you want the cottage in the forest? Do you want the electric car? Do you want the family? Do you want to travel? Do you want simplicity? Do you want luxury? What do you want? And within those wants, what are you achieving? What is the feeling that you're achieving behind that? And so you start to ask yourself these questions in these loops of these days that certain things aren't aligning, or maybe most of it isn't aligning, whether that's the income you're making or the people you're connecting with or the way that you feel about yourself or particular health circumstances and situations. There can be a multitude of things that show up in your life that present as a small minor kind of, what's that word I'm looking for? Irritation, that then grows when we don't address it or we continue to live every day in this loop of allowing it to continue. So we have to come to understand that at the core of every experience that we have is a choice that is in our control. And in that choice that is in our control, where we wake up every day, we have that choice to live in that same loop. We have that choice to make different decisions. We have that choice to actually change our mind, but the conditioning of the systems that we have been brought up in tells us that when you're confused or when you don't like the things that you're doing, that's just a part of life. That's just how it works. That's how you get to success. That's how you get to where you want to go. But when you go through a healing journey and when you decide to tap into your energy and when you learn about your intuition and you start to ask yourself these questions like, what do I value and what do I want out of life? What is my desires and what feeling am I trying to achieve? You start to really recognize that in every day that you wake up, that the choices become so much more valuable to you. That every choice that you make becomes a part of you breaking out of this loop. It invites an adventure every single day. It invites in the opportunity to feel and experience and choose and plan towards a life of sovereignty. It is the opportunity for you to really see a bigger, grander picture and allow yourself to find alignment in a vision that actually suits the direction in which you want to go. Let's use career, for example. If you work a 9 to 5 and you love it, that's amazing. That's a beautiful place for you to be. So now beyond that career, what is your identity? What is your values? What are your desires? Because you can bring in a magnitude of abundance in doing your 9 to 5 job or going to your 9 to 5 job every day. And I'll give you an example. My mom is a beautiful example of this. She works for a pharmaceutical company, and she is someone who is told you're going to get this salary at this much per this year. And because she continues to work on herself and to expand the vision of her desires and the things that she wants, and equally goes through the healing, she has had so many raises in the last 2 years and bonuses of thousands of dollars come through for her because of the work that she does within herself. For light workers and healers, when you're stepping into your vision and your mission, or you're recalibrating your mission and your vision to align with the direction of where you want to go, we get to remove these things. We get to remove these conditions that your services need to be free, or that you can't charge for what you're doing, or that abundance only comes once you have a, magnitude of this bigger audience. You don't. And I'm going to be sending out an email today if any of you have been interested in the Mastermind or join me for the Lightworker series of breaking down what the investment will look like for you as you step into this ownership and you step into this way of being able to turn your investment into a profit. And when you want to kick your life up a notch, it requires you to move through the feelings that say this confusion of changing your mind, of breaking free of this loop is not normal. You see, your mind is based on memory patterns. It's an archaic system. So what you have fed it is what it creates. It's the output that it creates. So when you're changing your mind, when you're becoming greater than your emotions, you're breaking yourself out of this loop that says you can't have this, or you can't do this, or it's going to take a long time, or, this could fail. Everything can fail, but everything can also come together in a bigger way. Everything could be a lesson, and everything could be an overflow of abundance. It depends on the energy in which you admit, the work that you do, the connection you create within you. So when wanting to take your life up a notch, moving towards a system that is solely designed and experienced by you, or wanting to grow and expand the channel in where you are right now, it always comes back down to the inner work. Finding your connection, asking yourself what your values are. If you are someone who values the dynamic of a family and you really desire to be with them and spend the majority of your time with them, then your job is to create aligned experiences, or to break free of that loop that says you can't do something and step into an energy, an identity, a personality, behavioral traits, patterns, and experiences that give you the options where you are creating that next level of sovereignty, that opportunity to be with your family. I'll give you my own example. I used to think that in order for me to design and create success, it was going to have to come through some form of commission, that working a 9 to 5 wasn't going to get me to where I needed to be. So I took on schooling for a real estate agent. And as I was going through that, what I realized, my lesson in that, is that I didn't actually have any desire to sell someone a home. What I wanted to do was help people find their home. So there's a difference in the physical form of what a real estate agent is, and that's selling a home. I realized that what I wanted was to help people find home. And home is self. Home is connection to you. So in that lesson, before I even really dove into healing and intuitive development and coaching and all these beautiful things that I do today, that realization was I needed to go through that investment of spending the money to go through the schooling and the training to then come to the conclusion that what I wanted was to help people find home. And now every single dollar that I spent that didn't end up going to a career that I had started, I realized was such a powerful, incredible lesson. And so now today, through that continued question of what is my values, what do I desire out of this life, and the continued investments to lead me to this path and direction in which I am today, I help people find home within themselves. And every dollar spent and every moment spent crying and every hour spent in courses and training that I continue to challenge the confusion and ask the questions, is this in alignment? Is this what I want to do? Or is there a lesson in this? It led me to literally kicking my life up a notch because I did not settle for this is the way it has to be. If you believe that one thing in your life is the way that it has to be, and you don't feel good about that experience, you are limiting yourself in a condition and in a narrative that is not actually going to be soul-provoking, but more so soul-dampering. Meaning that where you allow one thing in your life that you know in your heart of hearts is not in alignment, is going to continue to show up and reflect in every other area of your life until you decide to actually acknowledge the lesson. Because the lessons in life that we are presented with do not just come in one obvious form on a billboard banner. They come in repetition of us ignoring the things that we know are not serving our highest and greatest good. So what does that mean for those of you who are going through transitions, who are, making the changes and making the commitments, but things are still feeling maybe a little crummy or muddy or unclear or overwhelming? In that experience, what you're doing is now you're breaking out of the circuitry within your body that is used to a specific behavioral trait and pattern that tells you we got to be confused because what you're doing isn't normal. So when you're feeling like that, when you're making the decisions and you're making the choices and you're making the changes and you're going through the healing, but you're feeling confused, anxiety-ridden, overwhelmed, and muddy, keep doing what you're doing, because the feeling that you're feeling is equally what you're breaking free of. The feeling that you're feeling is equally what you're breaking free of. You are rewiring new circuitry in your system so that it can hold the space and hold the light for the automatic behaviors that come with you stepping into that space where your desires have manifested and you are in your soul's truth and purpose. Kicking your life up a notch isn't supposed to be easy, because if it was easy, there would be no form of satisfaction and achievement. It would just be another thing that you get to experience, and that's not what we came for here in this life, is just like a thing to experience. We came here to experience pleasure. We came here to experience joy. We came here to experience higher vibrational dominance, feminine flow, all these beautiful things in a space of higher vibrations. This is what your soul is craving. So when it comes to kicking your life up a notch, allow yourself to make the choices, the decisions, to take the risks, because guess what? Even failure leads to an expansion. You learn something, you heal something, you set a boundary, you make a different choice, decision. There's really, truly no such thing as failure. I could look at me not following through with my real estate licensing as a failure and, $5,000 spent in this experience that didn't actually come to fruition. Or I can look at it as this beautiful opportunity which really provoked my soul's truth coming out, saying that it's not that I wanted to sell someone a home, it's that I wanted to help people find home in themselves. And so those $5,000 beautiful dollars that were spent on this lesson, on this breakthrough, on this experience, led me to even more sovereignty, because I didn't settle with, well, this failed, I suck, and nothing else is going to come from this. It's like, no. Stop and ask yourself, what do you value and what do you desire out of life? And break yourself free of the loop that is every day. Time doesn't exist. Time is an absolute illusion. We value time because someone told us that this is the clock, and when the sun goes down and when the moon comes up, that this is how it works. But there are some people who actually really thrive at night more than they do in the day. There are some people whose energy is built to be up during the night and be asleep during the day, and vice versa. So really, what is time? And what is day? And what is night? And what is January? And what is December? And what is the 24th day of the month? It's really nothing. It's the value that you place on it. I could look at, I have 4 days left for this, for my Align and Ascend Mastermind, and I have 4 more days left. It's like, no, I have this infinite amount of time available for those who are meant to be in this container to show up for themselves and to take their own quantum leap. That's what's available here. And in that perspective, there's so much room. There's so much opportunity. There are so much other ways that blessings can unfold and experiences can happen and questions can be answered and all these amazing things. So you really have to ask yourself, what do you value and what do you desire? And what energy, what emotion are you chasing through those experiences? And then what can you do? What actions are you going to commit to take to break yourself out of a loop that is your day? Because if you do not do anything differently, nothing in your life will change. Change requires change. So if there's things that you do not like, there are things that you are beating your head against the wall that you continuously go through, what are you doing to change that? We're in such a powerful energy right now that these small 1-degree shifts that you take each and every day add up to such a bigger, grander vision. And this is what I teach, is that the 1-degree shifts make up the big quantum leaps. Because when you become self-aware, when you work on your energy, when you go through your healing, it's about noticing the subtle differences, because the subtle differences are the magnitude for the bigger difference, for the grander changes. So as you're kicking your life up a notch, what are you doing differently every day to bring you into alignment with those values and those desires of your life? And where are you feeling into the emotions that you are chasing through these desires? Because that's what brings it to you tomorrow. That's what brings it to you now. And that's where you start to break yourself out of the conditions, out of the matrix, out of this time energy, and step into your quantum self. I want to share this dream with you that I had that's really relevant. So I've been doing a lot of work in becoming lucid, like selecting dreams, like waking myself up in my dreams, kind of like an Inception, if you've ever seen the movie. And in these dreams, I am doing a multitude of different things. I'm going to past lives, I'm going to different cosmic galaxies, I'm learning about the different star systems, about the different star seeds, about Alpha generation, which is our next generation of children. And in this one dream in particular, I came to this Colosseum. Oh, I already feel, I'm going to talk about this in a minute. I came to this Colosseum, and this Colosseum looks just like what you would think it is, like a white Greek Colosseum, but the Colosseum is white and everything around it is white too. So you're kind of like in this in-between dimension. And in this dream, I woke myself up, something that I've been practicing. And what I realized is that this is the space where we go for our souls to get programmed. So there are these higher dimensional beings that are here to create chaos and control over the world. And for those of us who are really deeply plugged into a program, there will be some point throughout your year where you will do the same thing. So let's say on Christmas, you watch the same movies and you read the same books. You're resetting your program. So your soul, your physical body is having an experience, and then your soul goes back to this Colosseum to get reprogrammed for what it's going to experience throughout this following year. So when I go back to the message of breaking yourself out of these loops, making different changes every day, what you do is you shift your ability of being under a control, and you awaken into your own sovereign energies. This is a really big message, so I'm going to try and explain it the best that I can. So in this dream, I go to this Colosseum, and so I'm in an astral realm. And this is where we all go, by the way, when we sleep, is into astral realms and dimensions, sometimes to process subconscious experiences, sometimes to process fears. Sometimes it has to do with something that you watched before you fell asleep. So it's just kind of like a replay of whatever you consumed. And in most instances and cases, you actually go into just doing energy work. So whether you're an energy healer, a light worker, you're a mom, you're a boss, you're a nurse, whatever, whether you're aware of this or not, we go into these astral realms to do physical or to do light work. And in this Colosseum, I became aware that I was awake and that these people were funneling through as they were going through their reset of their program. And my job in this Colosseum, I knew, was to go and wake people up, to like shake them out of this thing. And this was causing deja vu. And deja vu was people becoming aware of resetting their programming, but they didn't know. And those who were really deeply conditioned in their experience would feel very nauseous and very sick in their physical body. So let's say, for example, Jim on Father's Day goes and plays golf with his dad at the exact same course. So Jim's physical body is playing golf with his dad at this golf course, but his light body is going back to this Colosseum to get reprogrammed for the year. And if Jim is very much like follow the rules, follow the government, follow this, follow that, like very particular about, getting directions and receiving information from everything externally, Jim's going to be very in his program state. And so as in my astral realm, let's say Jim's on the other side of the world, so where it's daytime there, it's nighttime here, so I'm doing my work in this astral realm, and I go and wake up his consciousness in this Colosseum, he, on this golf course, in this physical world, is going to feel sick and nauseous. And that's his deja vu. He's going to be replaying a moment in physical time. And then let's say we have Sandy, and Sandy is over in Bali and I'm over in Canada. So it's daytime where she is and it's nighttime where I am. And Sandy is meditating and she is, in her healing, and she's in these group ceremonies and she's one with nature. And I go into this astral realm and I wake up her consciousness. She is going to see her deja vu as gratitude, knowing that she is on the right path. So what I became aware of from this dream is that in our astral realm, we have the exact same soul purpose. So my soul's purpose in the physical world is waking people up into their consciousness. And that's what I do through coaching programs and my membership programs, and even just speaking with you guys on DMs and readings and all these things, that I awaken you into your soul's purpose, your mission. I reactivate you into this psychic connection that we all have, that we've been conditioned to believe that we don't, through a dampening of our feelings and our experiences and our behaviors and all these things. But when you go on a healing journey, you become aware of all these experiences that you've had, and you work through navigating and healing all the oppressed energy in your system. And so in the astral realm, I do the same thing. But here's the catch. You're not supposed to be awake in this Colosseum. And so there's a governing body, these controlling entities that equally govern our physical world, who refer to themselves as they. And they are shape-shifting, multidimensional beings that haven't had the opportunity to step forth on Earth until they started being able to have energetic permission. So on earth, we see a big culture of people being called they and them. And so in energy, everything is permission based. And this has nothing to do with people who identify themselves as they or them. This has everything to do with the energetic imprints of permission that we have allowed on a physical plane. And so as I identify them governing over these resets and these programs, and I'm waking people up consciously awake in this dream state, they're finding me and they're trying to get me out. So I wake myself up physically from this dream because I know that if I stay any longer, that this isn't just going to work out very well for me. And I bring this into my life. So this is a dream that I had a couple weeks ago that really activated me into a whole new level of consciousness. Like my ability to understand that I can do what I need to do, that I can make the changes that I need to make, that I can create the abundance that I want to create, that I can help the magnitude of people that I want to help. Like there's zero doubt in my physical body. Like the circuitry system is all there. It's all rewired. So when I talk about going back to my previous message of taking your life up a notch, it really comes through soul activation. It comes through psychic development. It comes through breaking yourself out of these daily loops so that you can become aware of what you're here to do in this world. But it is going to require work, and it's going to require sacrifice. It's going to require boundaries, and it's going to require you speaking your mind. And this dream showed me, taught me, activated me, embedded the circuitry in my system to be able to hold the space to do exactly what I'm supposed to do in this chapter and season of my life. It may change, it may not, but that's not the point. The point is that my values and my desires are very much real and available to me now, and I know without a doubt, without a single doubt in my mind, that they all are here now. And so in even the example of, not that I haven't given this example yet, but we moved into our trailer at the beginning of May, and we fully intended and planned to be able to live in it over winter. We have some crazy winters here in Canada. But that wasn't aligned with me. So I knew that whatever I needed to do was just going to unfold. That I knew that whatever I wanted, the values that I had were going to show up. And so I value having a home, and I desire that to be available now. And within 4 weeks, I manifested finding the home at a beautiful price point and manifesting every single dollar plus some to have it purchased. We're going to purchase it tonight, and to have it delivered within the next couple weeks. Here, 4 weeks. And through my continued work, conversations, setting boundaries, taking risks and leaps, I became consciously aware of not only what I'm here to do in my physical world, but also what I'm here to do in my astral world. And these worlds emerge. They merge. And my soul is lit up and on fire, and this is what I teach. This is what you're going to learn as a light worker and a healer in the Mastermind, is how to find this experience for yourself, because your way of merging your two worlds are going to look differently than mine. However, there are practices, there are principles, and there is energy coaching reflections that I will bring you through that help you to process. And as long as you're continue to show up in your work, and as long as you continue to do the things that feel calling to you, and really evaluate consistently what it is that you value, the feelings that you're desiring to achieve and experience through the desires that you are placing externally, materially, physically, it all just becomes available to you. And it seems so odd to say, yeah, like you can just like have the things you want in your life and they can literally become available to you. And that seems odd, especially if you're someone who's like really in the thick of like doubt or lack of self-trust or lack of confidence, or have no idea, you're in the thick of the emotion of how you're going to get to the other side. But here's the thing, when you actually allow yourself to break out of that loop that I talked about in the beginning and make the changes and adjustments according to the values and the desires and the feeling that you're chasing within the desires, it just exists. Like you break yourself out of this time construct that keeps you locked into a specific identity based on what your brain has been programmed to believe. And you lift the veil and you open up your consciousness and you have the trust and you have the belief, because there's just no other belief in your mind other than that exists. And for light workers and healers who are wanting to revamp their services or really step up into this space of serving, your energy is your magnet. What you bring, the work you do, is what your clients are attracted to. It's what they want to experience. They want to know how to do that for themselves. They want to know how to experience what you're here to offer them. And being a light worker and a healer comes with a really beautiful responsibility, because you're holding space for people's emotions. You're helping them move through their energy, their awakening, their activations. And then it also comes with a set of tools for you to learn as a healer and a light worker of how to neutralize them, so that they're not leaving feeling overwhelmed, and they're leaving empowered, and they're leaving with clarity. And these are things that I have taken from even just investing in the real estate. Like I shared in the beginning, that story of how it wasn't about selling someone a home. It was about helping someone find home within themselves. And so that lesson led me into wanting to learn about behavioral traits, and wanting to learn about cognition, and wanting to learn about the brain, and wanting to learn about quantum energy, and wanting to learn about psychic development, and then led me to wanting to teach. And so that came with a beautiful set of tools to then turn around and teach you. So I got a little off track, but the whole purpose is, when you want to take your life up a notch, it's going to require different actions. Change requires change. And if you sit in the fear of, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I don't make my money back? What if I don't follow through with the promise and commitment? You're locked into a limitation. Your day is going to be a loop of that every day in some way, shape, or form, until you decide, because every day is a choice of how you live it. You decide what it is you're going to do instead, through 1 degree shifts at a time, breaking yourself out of the condition, so that you can become activated into your consciousness, so that the doubt and lack of limitations and all the things that hold you back, you break free of that. And it is without a doubt in your mind that it all works out. You break out of the time construct, and so things can manifest to you so much more effortlessly. And when emotions come up, or limitations come up, or limiting beliefs come up, you feel into that connection and find what it is showing you, or have the grace through the tools that you learn to sit with and process and just break it out. When you join the Align and Ascend Mastermind, the first training you get access to now, we don't start until July, but the training you get access to now is decoding your energy. And so when you learn to decode your energy, the message, the limitation, you learn how to pull it apart. So equally, you can apply that same tool for your clients when you're delivering psychic readings or mediumship readings, right? These come with being able to hold space for people's emotions. So in turn, I want to wrap this up. In turn, take your life up a notch, but understand that that is going to require commitment. That is going to require time and money investment. That is going to require changes. That's going to require uncomfortability. That's going to require sacrifices. There's probably going to be a lot of tears and anger, but you're also releasing. And there's ways for you to manage that and navigate that with a wholehearted healing experience. Because your condition that you're breaking out of, that you might not even be aware of, that's ruling over your life, and if there's any form of limitation, whether it's in receiving money or paying off debt or manifesting a husband or having the baby or healing your body, there's a limitation there that you can't see yourself through right now. So the tools help you to move through that gracefully, lovingly, expressively, and you break free on the other side. So I'm going to jump off now. I'm going to leave you with this. We have 4 days left for the mastermind if you're a light worker or a healer and you want to kick your life up, your services up a notch. And I am sending you so much love.